Whether it's overseas or just somewhere a bit closer to home, exploring and visiting new places is exciting and fun. And if you're like me, you'll always take at least some of your Apple gear with you when you travel. In this video, I'm going to share with you 10 tips for traveling with your Apple devices, things like your iPhone, iPad, and MacBook. Some settings you should consider changing, some low-cost accessories that will help you travel with less stress, things like that. Stick with me until the end of the video. I think there's at least a couple of tips in here that even a seasoned traveler will find helpful. Okay, let's get into it. If you're traveling overseas, public Wi-Fi is going to be an absolute lifeline. Connecting to public Wi-Fi is usually pretty simple. You locate the network in your Wi-Fi settings, hit connect, and then follow the on-screen instructions. Problem is, sometimes the connection screen doesn't pop up. Or maybe it does pop up, but you accidentally click away from it and can't get it back, or you have problems reconnecting later on. Getting back to the Wi-Fi login page can be a real pain, but there is a really easy fix for this. Ensure that you're connected to the public Wi-Fi network in your Wi-Fi settings page. Then open Safari or Chrome or whatever browser you use, and in the address bar, type the following: captive.apple.com. This URL is the generic one used to connect to the connection page of whatever public Wi-Fi you're using. That page will then open up, you input your Wi-Fi connection details that you've been given by the hotel or restaurant or wherever, and you're good to go. Also, I think it's worth a quick mention, consider using a VPN when you're connecting to public Wi-Fi. A public Wi-Fi is public by definition, in other words, not as secure as your home Wi-Fi. Essentially, it's much easier for someone with malicious intent to be able to connect to your device when you're both on the same public Wi-Fi network than it would be otherwise. And the simple act of using a VPN when you're connected can make your browsing that little bit more secure. There are some settings that you're going to want to either change or at the very least be aware of when you're traveling, so let's quickly work through them. First up, you need to know how to access airplane mode. This is exactly what it sounds like. It's the mode that's acceptable for when you're flying, where your phone still allows a certain degree of connectivity, but disables anything that might interfere with the plane's own communication and navigation devices. On a full-screen iPhone like this, just swipe down to bring up the control center, then tap the button with a plane icon. On an iPhone with a home button like this one, swipe up to bring up control center and do the same thing. Then, if we head into settings and then mobile data, you'll need to be aware of these settings up at the top of the screen. If you're traveling overseas, it's possible that your provider will charge you a lot of money for any data that you use when not on Wi-Fi. So there's two things that you need to do here. First, find out by checking with your mobile provider whether you're allowed to use your existing data when traveling abroad. If the answer is no, you're going to want to head into mobile data options and ensure that data roaming is toggled off. This won't impact your data usage when you're in your home country, only when you're traveling overseas. But it's important to do this before you land, as even using a small amount of data, like downloading your emails, could be expensive. Just to wrap this section up, if you do travel overseas and your carrier doesn't allow you to use your mobile data when in another country, don't necessarily give up hope. There are some options. You could consider buying a local pay-as-you-go SIM card when you arrive at your destination. Here in the UK, for example, most, if not all of the major carriers offer pay-as-you-go SIMs that you can buy at all of the major international airports when you land. You'd have a different phone number for the duration of your trip, but you would at least know that however much you spend on data, you're not going to come home to a nasty bill. A more expensive but possibly more convenient option is to switch your data roaming off like I showed you earlier and either purchase or rent a mobile Wi-Fi router. These are little battery-operated devices that you would then chuck in your bag, and they create their own short-range private Wi-Fi network. You'd then tether your phone to the network, and so long as you're in range, you'd be able to access the internet no matter where you are, usually at a flat rate cost. If you're enjoying the content here, why not consider signing up to my newsletter, The Proper Weekly? I share some tech news from the week, a behind the scenes of what's happening here on the channel, as well as a tip for a piece of tech from the Apple ecosystem. The newsletter goes out each Friday, it's free to join, and the link to sign up is in the description of this video. Tech gear like your iPhone, MacBook, or iPad is expensive and often has to come with a number of cables and other accessories. And so one piece of advice I'd give if you're traveling with Apple gear is to invest in a good bag. There's nothing worse than that feeling of panic when your backpack falls off your case in the airport and lands at an awkward angle, especially if you're carrying something like a MacBook Pro with you. I've been using this all year on a bunch of trips. This is the 28-litre Myth bag by STM. This isn't a sponsored mention, by the way. This is my personal bag. I just really like it. It costs around £100 or $100, which isn't cheap, but when you consider how expensive the gear is that you're putting inside it, I actually don't think it's unreasonable. You don't have to go for this, of course, but its features like being able to tuck cables away, giving proper protection for your laptop, including the corners, which is where the risk of shattering your screen is the highest, and padding for your back that make this such a good bag. And whilst it can be tempting to go and buy something cheap, remember that you've invested a lot of money in your tech gear. It seems foolish to me that you'd put that at risk with a bag that won't offer you any protection. Also, and this is not a sponsored mention, this is a charging brick by Anker. There are other makes and models out there. I just liked and therefore purchased this one. It cost me about £40, and the reason why I'm recommending it is because of this connection. It comes with a local power cable, but I also went out and bought a US cable and a Euro cable, and when I'm traveling, I just grab the power cable that's relevant to wherever I'm going. I've then got two USB-C, one of which is high speed, and two USB ports, all from the same single power outlet. So I don't have to carry my Mac power brick with me or an iPhone charging plug. I literally just need this and a couple of cables to cover all my devices. Boarding passes are a bit ridiculous in my opinion. We have all this modern technology at our fingertips, yet we still have to wander around airports carrying a printed piece of paper to get us onto the plane. Next time you're checking into a flight or a train journey or a ferry journey, check to see if they offer a mobile boarding pass. You can then follow the instructions to download that pass to your iPhone's wallet instead of having to carry around the paper version. The pass can automatically receive updates if there are any changes to your flight, and when you get to your boarding gate, you simply show your phone screen just as you would with a standard paper pass. Part of the fun of traveling is exploring new places, but that fun can quickly turn into panic when you get lost. Thankfully, map apps for your phone can make this much easier, but you might need to do a bit of forward planning before you travel. I'm a fan of Apple Maps, but one issue that Apple Maps has is its inability to offer an offline service. If you're traveling overseas or trying to navigate the underground rail network of a city you're not familiar with, being online might not be possible. I'd therefore recommend you spend a bit of time figuring out an alternative for your trip, and the alternative that you use is going to vary depending on where you're going. Google Maps does have an offline maps capability. There are other alternatives if Google Maps isn't really for you. You could try an app like City Mapper, which is great for navigating around major cities, as it not only gives you street guidance, but also public transport. You could try a mapping app like Here We Go, a free turn-by-turn navigation app that also allows you to download maps for offline use. There are lots of others out there, and honestly the best advice I can give you is to start by browsing the App Store to see if something might work for you and doing some research online. But this is honestly the kind of thing that you will want to do before you travel. You've probably heard of AirTags, but essentially this is a tiny little tracking beacon that you attach to your small possessions to give them the same kind of tracking functionality as you've already got with your iPhone and computer. I've got one on my keys, and I can use this with my phone to find my keys if I lose them somewhere in the house, but if I lose them out in public, the AirTag uses the Find My network to help me track my keys anywhere out in the wider world. Anyone who then finds my keys can simply hold the AirTag to their phone, Apple or otherwise, to see a little card with my personal information on, so they can get in touch with me to give me my items back. As well as our keys, my wife and I use these in our day-to-day bags and our suitcases, which gives real peace of mind when you're traveling. I'll include a link to the Moric AirTag holder, which is a great little luggage tag with a hidden AirTag compartment. Using your bank card overseas is often way more complicated than it needs to be, not to mention full of potential for you to fall victim to some kind of fraud. Contactless payment is making paying for things easier and less risky, and Apple Pay takes this to the next level, where you simply hold your phone to the card reader to pay for things. And whilst Apple Pay isn't available everywhere, it's definitely worth getting it set up on your device before you travel, because if it is available where you're going, it makes life very easy and very secure. Find out if you can use Apple Pay by speaking with your bank or card issuer. If they confirm that you can, head into Settings, then choose Wallet and Apple Pay to begin the process of adding your card to your phone. Then when you're ready to pay for something, if your phone has Face ID, double tap the side button. If your phone has Touch ID, double tap the home button, verify the card and that it's you, and you're good to go. Language is of course one of the most significant barriers when you're traveling, but your phone can help. Your iPhone has a Translate app built right into it, which can handle a wide range of languages and functions. Once opened, you can use it to translate phrases, translate text on your phone, or even hold conversations with speakers of different languages. In the Translation tab, either type the phrase you'd like translating in your native language or press the microphone and speak it in, and ensure that the second language up at the top of the screen has been set to the one that you need translating to. If you're trying to understand what someone is saying to you, you can have them speak into your phone in their native language. You can tap the camera tab, then take a photo, maybe of a billboard or a poster or a menu, and then use that to translate written text into your own language. Conversation lets you use the microphone to hold a conversation with someone speaking a different language to you, with you both talking back and forth. You might have heard of universal control. I've mentioned it in a couple of my previous videos. It's a feature on Macs where you can use your Mac computer to control the mouse and keyboard on other Mac computers or even iPads. You might be wondering why I'm talking about universal control in a video about travel. Well, if you've got compatible gear, it actually makes for a really effective and lightweight dual screen solution that you can take on your travels with you. Essentially, a MacBook and an iPad can be used as a kind of dual monitor setup, which is great if you're traveling for business maybe, you're short on space and you need something a bit more capable than just using your MacBook on its own. I'll put a list up on screen now of all the Apple products that are compatible, and if you own compatible gear, this feature could be a bit of a game changer for when you're traveling. This is a power bank, basically a large rechargeable battery that you can connect your phone to for charging. They come with lots of different capacities and features, including some that offer wireless charging, where you just sit your phone on the top of them to charge, but honestly, you don't need to overcomplicate things. You should have one of these in your bag, charged up and ready to go in an emergency, and then when you use it, just recharge it again that night, put it back in your bag for the next day. So there you go, 10 tips to help you travel more smoothly with your Apple gear. What about you? Any tech travel tips that you swear by that I've not included here? Drop me a comment and let me know. And as ever, if you found this video useful, do please consider leaving me a like and subscribing to my channel for more content like this in the future. See you on the next video.